A snapshot in time with the Pink Dogwood Garden Club, the adopters of the White Garden at Close Memorial Park at the Botanical Gardens in Springfield, Missouri. A monument stone at the entrance celebrates the 54-acre property that was purchased and donated to the city parks by the Close siblings, Major and Annette, as a memorial to their father, Cephas Close, in 1998, just as the vision of a Springfield Botanical Garden was taking shape. A few years later, Major and Marthy Close visited Sissinghurst Castle in England and were inspired by its white garden. And this was the beginning of this white garden in Springfield, Missouri. They began planting white-blooming hydrangea, lilac, and crabapple trees. Originally, these trees were small island garden spaces. In 2008, Pink Dogwood Garden Club adopted the White Garden, and several of these tree islands were combined into larger beds with more room for expansive perennial and annual plantings, which includes numerous bulbs, evergreens, and groundcover perennials for additional spring and winter interest, together with variegated or whitish foliage to add to the overall display. The White Garden beckons visitors to walk, enjoy its beauty, celebrate, and photograph special life moments. The central walkway leads to the Hosta Garden under a rose arbor that features a family favorite, pink rose. Visitors can honor loved ones with a brick marker on the path that leads to a bronze statue of Major, smiling and kneeling with trowel in hand, statue that children find irresistible.
Okay, Ken has confessed to doing the begonias there.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yay, Kenna!
Yeah. Well, our bed, we noticed that in the winter months we had no greenery in our garden, so I had a topiary, Alberta spruce dwarf topiary that was in a pot for 7 years at my house. Didn't know what to do with it. I thought, why can't I just put it? So I asked permission first, and so they even put a sign out on it. They appreciated that we have a little bit of the greenery in that topiary there. Otherwise, Pat and I maintain this, and she works herself to death. She'll throw mulch everywhere and work ours around me. We love the Japanese anemone, but the first year I was here, I didn't know you shouldn't fertilize it because it gets real tall and falls over. So I fertilize every year, but I don't do those. So I'm learning from the experts here how to maintain our garden. And anybody that wants to come out and help, we're glad to have your help. Thank you.
How are the roses growing this year?
Oh, we have 3 new roses that came in.
They removed the old ones because they had a disease on them. So they put some new ones in.
And there's a drip line now to the roses, and they are starting to climb. Bill is very happy with them, and they just look great. So both sides have new roses, and as you know, or maybe some of you don't know, they're pink roses because it was Mrs. Close's mother's favorite color. And we're hoping in time that they will go over this arbor.
These are growing really fast, though, surprising, because they were only this tall when they put them in. So look how they've grown in through the summer.
Right. Another thing new in Eleanor's garden that she mentioned, there's a cherry tree there. It's supposed to be weeping and it didn't weep, so we're...
So I'm going to guess that the graft, so it's grafted onto the stalk. I'm guessing that the green is going up is actually from the graft, the standard part and not the graft. So you might watch when it blooms.
Yeah, cherries have been a real curious thing this past season. We've replaced several cherries in the Japanese garden, and under really good care, and they just didn't make it. So I think it's just these extreme 24-hour weather events that is killing back some of our plant material. Because under most conditions, it's just like the plant was really well taken care of, and I just can't explain it for any other reason.
This is more, for me anyway, it's an experimental bed. So almost everything I put in here is like, I want to see if it's going to work. So this year, what I wanted to do is Lizzie Anthus. Oh my God. I didn't even know we could grow them up here. It's what these pink flowers are right here. And I bought some when we went on a trip this spring to the Amish places up there, and they didn't have a color on it. And she said, I think they're white and purple. So I put them in and they were dark purple. And then up at the Botanical Center, they got some from Sherry, our grower. So whenever we went out there, I bought some pink ones, and next year she's going to grow white ones for us. So I want to put more pink, more white in here, but put pink kind of where the roses are. So when the roses aren't blooming, then these are kind of blooming pink through the roses. And then the other thing I experimented with was foxglove. I really love tall foxglove, and so several of them have died because the water wasn't working and they got too dry and died. But I wanted them to grow up and reseed, so I would have, tall white ones back here. So I have 3 or 4 right here and 3 or 4 right over there. And then my chrysanthemums, I lost them, like a lot of chrysanthemums were lost in the park, where I have the mealy cup sage this year. I used to have my chrysanthemums in here. So I think the mealy cup sage got too tall and distracted from the alliums whenever they bloom. So probably next year I will put that euphorbia, because it stays lower, but yet it's white all summer long. So those are kind of the things that I change around and move around and have been experimenting with. So that's all about my bed, really. Unless somebody has any questions or anything.
So that's not garlic.
Yeah,
Society garlic.
It's called society garlic.
It's
Okay.
an allium. They actually did better before the irrigation got fixed. You see how it's laying over? Gail and Sheila take care of this bed from here to there. One of the things that we were just, do you want to talk?
Oh, go ahead. Go.
Those elephant ears, they were so beautiful last year. If you remember, they had white streaks all in the middle. And this shows what happens. The growers don't know. Sometimes they get the wrong stuff. We're so excited. Oh, the white will come. The white never came to the middle of it. We always don't know what we're going to get.
Those beautiful foliage plants in there, as Katie said, they're lungwort or pulmonaria. We have several varieties of pulmonaria in our garden in the different beds. It's called pulmonaria because of the spots. It looks like spots on your lungs might be. But the variety I have in my bed, they have cultivated the spots out of it. So it's just almost pure kind of green blue, like those over there.
This variety is called moonshine.
Yeah, moonshine is one of the very first ones. And they have flowers in the spring that are kind of pinky purple. And all pulmonaria have flowers in the early spring. We have a couple varieties that are that have white flowers. It's called opal. But the foliage is not as pretty as some of these. Yeah. So, any questions about what's going on?
And we did have gladiolas too this year, and they were very pretty.
For some reason, their gladiolas come back every single year.
They do. Yeah. Not sure they're quite enough sun, but they're.
So the Japanese anemone, they'll do okay in the shade too?
Yeah, they get a little leggier and not as floriferous, but yeah, they don't mind the shade. The original Japanese anemone that we had 10 years ago, the one that we had was over in that garden there by the bench, and it got so big, but it leaned. And so when we had a chance to put it in other places, that stood up tall. So here, this is the bed that I take care of. The butterflies are great right now. We have a little problem with getting too much ground cover in here, so we'll have to keep that under control. That's the same ground cover that's over there. It gets weedy, but I've been weeding it so it doesn't look so bad. That's for winter interest. Calla lilies, some more sedum over here. But let's walk around that way and we'll see the rest of this garden. Yeah, oh yeah, look up to see this
Sunflower?
Seven Suns, yes. This is a new shrub here that we put in Cotonou Easter or Cotonou Aster, depending on where you come from. And we liked it because it had some foliage, some white foliage on it. So we'll see how that does there. Petunias were really good earlier in the season. The Japanese anemone. And, anybody who wants a cutting off of this Rex begonia did really well, and the color's beautiful. And it blooms white. So we're excited about that. This is a pulmonaria here. And you can see right here, here's another pulmonaria that's the spotted one, and this has no spots on it at all. So different varieties of that. Turn around and look at the rest of their bed. Right there. That's the serviceberry right there in the middle. It has not bloomed yet. This is its 3rd year. And then we have 3 little plethora here. Our summer sweet, and they were damaged again by the water. We would have had to come out and water everything by hand for this month because the hoses were off too, and the rose garden was off, the Hosta Garden was off. So a testimony to perennials that they're not all dead. We went through all that. So it worked out. So this is an unadopted bed here that we've put as much in it as we could to maintain, so it can maintain itself. we need someone to take care of it. And we experimented with this patience here that has the yellow leaves, and it did pretty well. This is new this year. We put in a red Pink Dogwood tree. It seems to be doing quite well. We've got a couple of pyrrhus here. This is Japanese Andromeda, and it has a white flower on it that looks like a lily of the valley that's kind of hanging down. And again, this is unadopted. We just put it in there. We've got a clematis growing up there quite nicely. Hey, any questions about this unadopted bed that we need help with? Okay, turn around. So a lot of hellebores in our garden that do quite well. And there's the runnera. This is another one that we have several different varieties. And it has blue flowers, bright blue flowers in the spring that kind of dance. But here's another runnera. You can see the leaves, how different they are. This one it doesn't have the veins in it. And this is Chinese ginger. It's doing well. Oh, our leaf got fixed. Look at that. Okay. This is a leak in the garden. So we talked about the variety. These are chrysanthemums. If you remember, we said all the hothouse ones that we had saved for 3 or 4 years died last year. So in the spring, I ordered for like $6 a little plant like this, perennial chrysanthemums from Bluestone Perennial, and these are the ones that I ordered. And you can see how they've grown, but you can also see how the pink has come back from whatever stock it was a little bit pink. These happen to be some of the hothouse perennials that did survive. We had like 20 of them in the garden. Springfield geranium. Oh, here's a flower of it. Here it is. One flower. It's called hardy geranium. Very blush, pale pink. Here's more of that sedum, and what happened is the same thing. They're white, but this one happened to be covered with pink flowers. So
How many varieties would you say you have in your bed? Around 30?
different plants?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure there are 30 different plants in here. And you can you recognize the annuals when you see the vinca and the pentas, and the mealy cup sage is one. But yeah, different. There's probably 30 different varieties, and maybe in this bed. Okay, so behind you, there's another one of those chrysanthemums that is a perennial variety, and it just grew up. Plant the right one, and we'll see if it comes back. I hope so.
What is the company?
Bluestone Perennial.
So do they have all different?
Oh my gosh, yes. And they seem to be so expensive, but they're so good. Now, they have 50% off sales like every Friday, so you check online on Fridays, and they have a catalog too. And their plants come in pots this size, and it's one of those, that choir. Is that how you pronounce that? Choir?
Oh, that, yeah, like
The
coconut.
Coconut.
Or like
and it comes in that, so you don't have a pot to throw away. And they're
So
good.
this was like a little
Yes.
4 inch?
It was like that big.
The mum or
The mum.
The mum. Wow.
Now this one, the spirea came from them too. It's a blue kazoo, and it has not bloomed for us. So this is the 3rd year on that, and that was a little tiny one also from Bluestone. And we don't know what to really. I don't know if it gets too much water, not enough water, but it should be doing better. So this is a ground cover that's just kind of taking over nicely.
What kind is it?
It says mazus, like rippins. It blooms white, but it's mazus.
There's one little
That's
flower
beautiful.
there.
Is there a little white flower?
Little bitty one over
There
there.
it is.
No, on this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go to the other side of the garden. It's a big garden.
This to me is like a laboratory because I'm learning so much every year, and some years things do well, some years they don't. But the thing I love about working out here is the fellowship. And even if you're not a bed adopter, it's just fun to be out with other women. By the way, I saw on TV the other day that's a big booster of longevity. If you do things in groups with other women and stay active, then you're going to live longer and be healthier. So we're going to live a long time. In this bed are things that are near and dear to my heart, so I'm going to point those out. One thing is I love asters, and I saw these beautiful asters at a garden shop a couple years ago. They were called the Vanity Aster, and they were the most beautiful things I'd ever seen, all full and white. And I got 3 of them. One died immediately. 2 made it, and but they haven't done much. So I'm hoping that with the water situation fixed, they've hung in there for 2 years now. So every year you're hopeful, it's going to change. This is going to be the year we win the kennel. I like this rock fixture in here. Our iris, you can see our beautiful double blooming iris. And this little pugster, just its name is so cute. A pugster butterfly bush. It stays compact, it just blooms its little heart out. And we thought it was dead at the start of the year. We were going to pull it up, and Ellen said, nah, give it a minute. So we did, and it did. And life was happy. One of my favorite things in here is the lantana. I did not count on lantana growing to gigantic proportions. So we're going to cut back on the amount of lantana next year and move it more inland, put some lower things out here. But lantana does love this bed. 3 years ago, Ellen found these purple ghost geraniums, got 3 of them. I would come out every day and cover them with little cardboard tents to keep the extreme sun off of them. We watered them, we did all these wonderful things. They all made it through, and then they proceeded to start to die, and now we're left with 1 and a tent. So I don't think they're pretty contrast with the striped iris leaves, but I'm not sure that they're worth the effort. So we'll see. I'm talking at you. The tiarella, we've interspersed the tiarella and begonias. The tiarella haven't done so well. 2 rows are doing well, but we'll have to rethink that next year. Every year you rethink, and every year you learn something else. And then this is the nearest and dearest thing to my heart right here. This is a double mock orange. When my children were small, we had one in our backyard. I would tell them stories and cuddle them under the tree, and we would just enjoy its fragrance. And so this brings back happy memories for me. So this is our happy place, and I want everybody to have a happy place and have good fellowship with other women. So come on out. Any questions? Don't ask, because I don't know any more names.
I wanted it to look like a nosegay. I like things kind of packed in. So the culminaria stays, and it's had some babies, which I kind of rearrange. Begonias I dig up and winter over, and I have a little greenhouse, and then I try different things. If they don't work, I pull them out, and if I have something else, I'll stick it in, as long as it matches. We have to have matching things.
Symmetry.
I'm Libra, so everything has to be balanced. The end.
Marilyn is also taking care of the little clematis over there. It's the same variety as on the other end of the garden.
This bed, when I first took it over, was almost all annuals. The only thing that was here were the 2 lilac trees, which are beautiful in the spring. The crepe myrtles were here, and the hostas, and everything else has been added. This little topiary was here as well. This pot was over there and mirrored the one that's in the other bed. It's exactly the same pot, and it had the licorice in it. But at that time, we were getting so much water that it was drowning. So Ellen and Sherry and I moved it over here. That was kind of a task. It was way heavier than we thought it was going to be, and turned it on its side. The hellebores have done really, really well in this bed. The annuals that I planted here are the some patients, and they've really liked it. This piece up here is my struggle, because it gets no water at all. When I first took the bed, it was getting flooded with water, and there were impatiens in it that were this tall. And then, I don't know, something changed. And so from about the topiary on this way, there's no water to this bed. The Daphne struggled when it was getting water, and now it's doing really well with no water. So it's all just, the caladiums I've kind of been experimenting with. Those down at that end, I got bulbs from Caladium World, and they've done super well. These I bought as plants, and they haven't done nearly as well. And really? Those were $1 and these were $10, so I'm doing that next year. So anyway, it's really funny. That euphorbia over there has done super well. I had 5 right along here that something ate them. They don't touch those. They ate these off to the ground. I don't know. Everything's just an experiment. So.
And you have 3 new things.
Oh yeah, and I have 3 new bear's breeches that Ellen and Sherry ordered for me. And I'm covered up because they got nibbled on to begin with too. They had 2 or 3 leaves on them when I planted them in June. They've got 2 or 3 leaves on them now, so we'll see.
But they're new leaves.
They're new leaves.
And those are plants. How many of you know what bear's breeches are? Okay. The acanthus is the other name of it. And the leaves get this big, and this particular variety has white splotches all over it.
And then it has white,
yeah,
and it's kind of dark
plumes.
purple.
There's plumes that come up this high.
So if you look in the Bluestone Perennial Catalog for Acanthus Whitewater, you'll see it. It has a slight pink tint to the flower. We don't know how many years it's going to take to get there, but we'll see. Acanthus does well in the shade, but it needs a little bit of light, so we'll just see how well it does. The Waterwise Garden out on National has some beautiful acanthus. It's the purple variety. This one, the book says hardy to zone 7, so we're going to mulch it really well, and we're going to hope for the best, but we'll see.
Something I read online the other day, just a couple weeks ago, said that we are now zone 7A. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they had
say that.
Yeah, but with our extremes of temperatures, it's
this winter,
really hard. So Pat has some of those cranesbill geraniums in there too.
They've done really well. They're in between these painted ferns, and when the cranesbill are blooming, the painted ferns are just low, so they show off real pretty. And then there's a lot of them over there on the backside too. And they were a little hard to get started. The first batch I did, they didn't do anything, and then we redid them, and they've done really well. So
I think all of you have to try to imagine what this place looks like in the spring. Like Pat said, she had hundreds of daffodils back there where nothing much is going on now. And the arum talicum with the leaves that come in the winter, they're actually starting to come. Are they starting to come back yet? So there's winter interest in this garden, and a lot of them, the pulmonaria often stays green all winter for us now, so we don't have dead areas. Pat's put in some chrysanthemums right there that would be nice if they wintered over and came back. She struggled with water too.
Well, and I really have to thank everybody else, because I work a lot of days and I can't come out here many days during the week, but Ellen and Sherry and several other people have helped out with watering mine, so it's a joint effort.
I have a question about the caladiums, the ones you planted from the bulbs. When did you plant the bulbs, and how long did it take before?
Try to use Memorial Day as kind of the
Okay,
earliest
so
point.
after frost.
They're not going to do anything until the ground is 55, 60 degrees at least. And so it's really funny. I planted these as plants. I planted those as bulbs. Those were bigger bulbs, and they've gotten much bigger. But within 10 days of putting these out, those were as big as these were.
So
yeah. Once they're ready to come up, they just go.
Okay.
Here. Where did you get the bulbs? Caladium World in Florida. I order them like in October, November. I'd always ordered them in Texas and had tons of them, and so I had real good luck with them. And so last year I bought plants here, and they didn't do very well at all. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to try it. And so if you drive by my house on Portland, I've got giant red ones out in the front. And I don't know, I just love caladiums, and so I'm going to keep doing that, I guess. So.
Jan and Janice have volunteered. They're adopting this whole bed here against the fence, starting from here all the way to Major.
We're newbies, and we've only had it a couple of weeks.
And they kind of know what's going on there already.
Ann and Jerry really put all the structure in here, the kind of design that Ellen and her crew kind of kept it up. But we're hoping to get going. We're very, very blessed with a lot of perennials, and I think they've really held up well. We planted the white impatiens, and they've done really well. They were kind of a showstopper this year.
I think the thing that impresses me the most is the continuity between the annuals and the big spigots of light that you see there. I think that that's a really nice look to it. I took some pictures just to see where, without the annuals, what it would look like next year, so that we could kind of get an idea of where our spots are going to be. So we're kind of looking at, things that we want to move into there as well.
Jan has some good ideas of maybe some different things and shrubs or perennials that we could put in.
But Katie just trimmed it up this year.
Oh, really?
It was all lopsided.
Yeah.
She shaped it a lot better.
Really beautiful. We have quite a few ferns in here.
Just it with a little spray paint and
And,
make it white.
It's invasive, but it's very pretty.
It really does have a nice
It was much bigger
height.
around here, and then we took out some.
It's a begonia that comes back. It's a hardy begonia.
I love it.
It is. It's an invasive perennial, but I think it's beautiful. But it just was born with the wrong color. Lots of Calibre or Lindros in here. This is going to be an area that we're going to need to work on, because once you take out this area of the annuals and you finish taking out this area over here, then you're going to have a really wide open space. I was trying to think of something that might be good, that would be kind of like a bush or something that would fit in there, that would be pretty. So if there's any suggestions that you have,
I was looking for a home for some white quince. I don't know if that would fit or not, but it's kind of an early, almost rose-like bloom. And they say, I mean, we've definitely seen some get big, but so I'll have to look to see what the size is. But
And we might think about another Daphne because they like the shade, they like the protection, and it's close to this tree.
yeah, I love that one.
What did you say, Sherry?
A Daphne, a variegated Daphne. She has one over here.
Yeah, and that one gives semi-evergreen.
Oh my gosh, the smell is so beautiful.
How do you get your Lenten rose to grow? It's so
I
large.
mentioned that I've been on this for like 2 weeks now.
So
I've done nothing.
My Lenten rose is the same size. I put it out 2 years ago.
I have some in my backyard that has done really well, and basically I just leave it alone.
Well, that's what I do too.
And
But
it's
I'm ready to
slow grower.
Yeah, I know.
Very slow grower. But it doesn't mind. It's one of the few plants that likes to be fertilized in the fall. Most plants you don't fertilize in the
Okay.
fall. But it puts out all its new growth here, maybe starting in October, November.
Okay, so I need to fertilize
A little
it
bit
this fall. Okay.
Yeah, we'll do.
The nice thing about Lenten rose too is that it starts the blooms like in February, and has wonderful little flowers. Sometimes that you can't see because they'll be hidden under the leaves, but they come in all different colors, and you know they're very staunch, and the deer hate them. So that's my greatest benefit of it.
Pat has some other hellebores over here, and hers have some veining in the leaves that are quite beautiful.
But you can see that it's kind of sparse in there, so we're going to have to get something, I think, probably to condense this more, maybe take out a few, take that out, and then put something in to replace that.
You guys see this leaf right here? This is the one that I was saying that Pat has lots of them in her garden. This is the arum italicum. It's a bulb, and the variegated leaf on it is what the florists often use. So here's, it's starting to come back, and it's here all winter. And so what's nice is that there's something here in the winter time, and it has a stalk in the spring that comes up, and it has orange berries all over it. And then the orange berries fall and make more. So if you no, it's about that tall, but it'll be there all winter, so yeah, it's just new coming up, which is kind of unusual to have a plant that starts in the fall. It's a little bit like the hellebores. It starts growing in the fall, and then it's dormant in the summertime. So completely underground. It's just kind of come up the last couple of weeks. These are daisy mums, and I don't see any pink on this one. But you can order them that, you know, are cushion mums or small mums. But anyway, this is the daisy mum. It's called the daisy mum. It's got nothing to do with the well, chrysanthemums and chrysanthemums are related, I know, but yeah, it's a mum. Someone had a jasmine plant. It was in a pot and it was, you know, dying. It was whatever. So we put it here, hoped it would bloom. It did not, but it took all summer to regrow its green. So it's in a pot with a hole on the bottom. So we're going to dig it up and bring it in the house and try to save it. And maybe next year it will bloom. It's, again, an experiment. And we don't want to hide Major, but we kind of thought something tall there might look nice.
So, Ellen, that plant's a friendship plant because my friend gave it to me about 20 years ago. And I put it out for the summer and in the greenhouse for the spring. And it just got a little unwieldy. So the friend said she would winter it over, but it just barely made it.
Okay, so it was yours actually.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Marilyn has gifted it to us.
So-
We have a lot of things like that in the garden that come from our historical garden. I have my grandmother's peonies in this one. Really? Yeah. We're back to Major, and here we are. And the stone, the anniversary stone, if you haven't been out here for a while, was moved last year to come over here.
Visit the White Garden at the Botanical Gardens in Springfield, Missouri.